Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with the one and only Shane McGuigan as we head towards Sunday night's action. Can't trip myself up as a lot of people have, and I have previously. Shane's Secret Santa started at the gym.
Not yet, no. I don't know if we'll ever. It might be on me to do Secret Santa. I don't think the fighters will do it. Ellie might come in with a coffee here and there, but no.
Now, I watched back our previous interview heading into the launch press conference for CBS versus Masternak, and you said that, look, if we're going to get the knockout, we can't specifically go looking for it. It has to kind of come naturally. A couple of weeks back, and I said this to Chris as well yesterday, that I watched George Groves versus Fedor Chudinov, and in that same sort of way, George didn't seek the knockout, but it came naturally. Is it the same, similar sort of way in terms of the fight that you see this fight playing out if Chris is going to win in emphatic fashion? Yeah,
good shout. That's a very good comparison. Masternak is like a Chudinov, who's made of absolute granite, and relies on his feet to get himself in and out, and a decent puncher as well. So, they're not elusive. They're not. They pull away from shots and they can ride the shots that way, but they're not going to be giving you loads of head movement and different looks. So, but George and Chris are different fighters. Chris sustains his attacks, but he's not as heavy as a puncher as Groves. Groves could knock out a horse, that lad. But I think it's going to be one of them. We've got to chip away, and I think if he chips away and keeps finding the shots and hitting him clean and hitting him often, I think he will go.
The word going around is that Chris has been knocking out opponents in sparring.
He has knocked out a few, yeah. So that we never like to. I think Adam was the one that put that out, but it is true. But that's just the way it is. He knocked quite a few people out for the Coley fight as well. So, which is. It's just having that timing, and that's you start getting that. You get confidence not to rush your shots, and just you're a more seasoned fighter, and you're constantly improving all the time. So, yeah, he has found a few shots of late and dropped a few people.
One thing that I feel like is key to Chris's game is the ability, not the power in the punch specifically, which he does have, but also the power in the clinches, being able to bear over the opponent, which seems to be more of a factor at cruiserweight and heavyweight and up above. Do you feel he has that against Masternak, and do you feel he has that over the other champions in the division too?
Yeah, I mean, you got to fight strategically against who you're up against. With Lawrence Coley, it was very much like relax on the inside, whereas Masternak doesn't really hold a lot, so it's going to be a lot cleaner, which means there's going to be a lot more opportunity to be in dangerous positions for Chris, and getting countered at, that is. But I think he's got an innate ability to work and figure people out, and I think he'll do that.
What would be the preference in terms of the path should Chris come through on Sunday night? In terms of the fights out there, there's unification fights, there's rematches with Lawrence Coley, there's rematches with Riakporhe. Riakporhe said he's open to coming up to Bournemouth if you'd like a slice of that stadium action there, but what's the ideal path for yourself and Chris?
Yeah, Liz, I mean, it's big fights. The thing is both of those fights are big domestic fights, Lawrence and Riakporhe. And yes, there probably wouldn't be as much of an appetite for a Coley as there would for Riakporhe, but if it's done down in Bournemouth, both of those fights make sense because it's about Chris Billam-Smith. He's the one shipping the tickets, and as you've seen here, just sold out in a couple of days. So he's always in exciting fights, but we, as I was stating, I think in the previous interview, it's like people might think that his pinnacle was winning a world title in the Vitality Stadium, 15,000 people against a Brit, whereas now it's okay, you need to make new goals, but our most important goal right now is to win on Sunday night. All of those big fights down the line, Opatea, even Noel Giva, I don't know what his name is. He used to be called Noel Giva, and now he's called Noel something else. He's just won the WBC, and yeah, you've got Opatea as well. So there's plenty of options. Gulmar is tied up, I think, a little bit with legal action, but plenty of great names, plenty of great opportunities out there for us. But we just got to keep winning, and I think that door's about to fall down behind you. You just lay on it. There's plenty of great fights, great opportunities down the line. So we just need to go out there and put on a great performance on Sunday, and then go into 2024 as a defending world champion.
Lauren Price, MBE, says she's got her eye on Jonas Vermeer. So does Caroline Dubois. How close is she to one of those big fights, those big nights?
Caroline, yeah. I mean, she wants to fight everybody. She would fight Natasha Jonas in the morning. She really would. She would also fight Alicia. She'd fight Katie Taylor, Chantel. She'd fight them all. She needs to just continue to keep building her profile, and I think activity is key for her. And she's been very active this year. She's had 4 fights. She's won the IBO world title. She's boxing on February 3rd. We're trying to get a decent opponent for that. And she'll probably be defending her IBO title or potentially boxing for a final eliminator of one of the other belts. And Katie Taylor has to make a decision very, very soon of what she's going to do, whether she wants to hold on to the lightweight division, the belts in the lightweight division, or go up to 140. My inkling is that she's going to be trying to go back down to 135 so she can get the Amanda Serrano fight. Or another fight down at that weight, but we will see.
Cutler joined the gym as well under the tutelage of Josh Pritchard. What's the decision making there, and how involved are you in terms of that and the fight this weekend?
Yeah, I won't be working the corner because I've got Chris on, but lovely lad, Lee, and he's a good fighter. Sorry, is Clifton Mitchell making some noise over there? It's not like him. But yeah, it's Lee's a top lad, a really good lad. He's in there against a slippery opponent in Obi. We know him, we've had him in sparring before, so good little boxer. I think it's going to be a very, very entertaining fight, and it's one that Lee has to stick to a game plan. He has to try and break him down. He's got 10 rounds to box, but he needs to get cracking, because he's 26 or 27, but he's only a fraction of what he could be. Had a bad loss against Brad Ray, but he's on the rebuild. And he asked, Chris asked if he could come up and immerse himself in the gym. And he's got a good relationship with Josh Pritchard, who's a really good coach. He's been, not blowing my own trumpet, but he's been around myself for a long time, and he knows how the game works. He's been in world title corners, and he's a great coach in his own right, and I think that's I really hope that the two of them can gel well.
Ready for the scrutiny, Josh?
I don't think he's really one of them. I don't think he's got a massive ego. He's just a guy that he's an honest guy, hard-working guy, and I think we've had fighters in it. The problem is there's been so many fighters coming to my gym, and because of I'm quite hands-on with the fighters as well, and they all want to be padded by me, they want to be trained by me. But Josh has had over the years he's been working. Maybe at the start of someone's camp, he's been doing a little bit more pads, and he's just building up that confidence. And he gets boxing, so I think this is now the time that he can start getting himself some fighters. And I've got a big gym, and I potentially might want to expand my gym as well, get another ring into it and stuff like that. So a busy gym's great. You got fighters all building and working with each other. That's what we want to create, and we've always created a good atmosphere. We just I'd love Josh to get some good fighters. Opening
the door to the wide discussion in the boxing sphere, I want to get your thoughts on 20th of December, specifically an old head at your gym, recently departed Daniel Dubois takes on Jarrell Miller. A lot of people saying this is a perfect fight for Dubois, a lot of people saying this is a perfect fight for Jarrell Miller. Where do you stand on this?
I think it's a very good fight for Dubois, only because of the inactivity. I think Miller, when he was a few years back, was a handful. He was walking people down, he was throwing loads of punches and stuff, but he obviously got found out with the substances he was taking. But Daniel is actually a better boxer than he is a pressure fighter. He's much better on the back foot. And I think Miller will walk into him and he'll make. Dan's got a fantastic jab. He's got a great. He can work the body really well. He's extremely heavy-handed. Oh my God, he's phenomenally heavy-handed. But his confidence is down. And the one thing that Daniel lacks is that inner belief and inner confidence. And that comes with experience. That also comes with wins. And he hasn't won in his last fight. And this is a mouthy guy from America that is going to be giving him loads of shit on fight week, be in his face in the fight. And if Daniel sticks to his boxing and believes in himself and boxes on the back foot and walks him onto shots, he will knock him out. But if he doesn't, and if he gets overwhelmed by the occasion and overwhelmed by the man in front of him, then it could be a nightmare for him. But I hope he prevails.
Seen on other outlets, you've given your opinion on this, so I want to be direct with my question here. Just wondering, with Anthony Joshua on this trainer search, were you disappointed not to get the call or have the conversation with him at least to potentially train him going forward?
Not really. No. I mean, and that's honest, because do you know what? I think I've bent over backwards for fighters in the past, especially high-end fighters. I remember that a long time ago when I was a lot younger, working with David Haye, but it was constantly running around here, there, and everywhere. And I know that AJ has a busy schedule, and apparently he's a lovely guy. But my focus is on Adam Azim, it's on Caroline Dubois, it's on Chris Billam-Smith, it's it's Ellie Scottney, and I love building fighters from the scratch up, and it gives you that time to work with them. Listen, I took George Groves on after he lost three world title fights, but he was still hungry. The difference is he was still hungry. He hadn't made hundreds of millions, whereas David had made a lot of money, and David wasn't hungry for boxing. It simply wasn't. And I'm a passionate person when it comes to boxing, and I want people to be starving for boxing. Do you know what I mean? They want to get in the gym and they want to learn and they want to bounce on good energy and positive vibes, and not turn up late or. And I think I'm not saying that that's happening. I'm sure he's an honest professional, but he comes with a lot of baggage. He comes with 40, 50 people in the gym every day, turning up and giving him water and brushing, toweling down with sweat. And I think sometimes that is just not the pure way you need to work with a fighter. All of the greats, they had a trainer and they stuck with him and they prevailed together. A prime example is Canelo after he lost to Mayweather could have easily pointed a finger at Eddie Reynoso and his dad, but he didn't. He took accountability, and he went on, and his best wins were since Mayweather with that same trainer, because they had built that rapport. And when that person knows you from 15 years of age, and it's taken you from a kid to becoming a world champion and then making millions, but that's the person that's going to keep you honest, not the guy that's coming in when you're 33 or 34, looking to get a few quid out of it themselves. You've seen it a little bit with Robert Garcia. Was he invested in it? Probably not. Derek James. I just don't know what's going on there. But for me, it's about building that relationship, and also I want someone to be wanting to knock down the doors. I don't want to be a trainer that's just going to tick you over before you go out to the States. It's about coming in and believing in the process, and that's the most important thing for me.
So 5 weeks enough time to effect any sort of change in game plan to defeat Otto Wallin, who is perceived as a real hard fight for Joshua?
Yeah, but AJ would beat him no matter what. I think so, but it will be I think it might be a boring fight. You watch him in the amateurs, and AJ was trying, he was missing. He was winning the rounds, but he was trying to miss in. And I said in a previous interview, I heard Usyk saying about how hard of a puncher Gasayev was, and obviously he's done 24 rounds with AJ as well, and that accomplishment went to Gasayev, whereas and Wallin's just come off a great victory against Gasayev, so he's a very hard man, Wallin, tough, slippery, but he just doesn't do enough. He's good at shelling up and going and making it competitive, but he's not good at winning rounds and actually winning them when you need to. So I think AJ will get the decision no matter what, but he won't. I don't think he'll look that impressive.
A couple of things, those will be with you for another hour. I just need your Wilder versus Parker breakdown.
I think Parker gets hit far too clean with the right hand. It's leaky on the left hand. Maybe he didn't have a lot of respect for Jack Massey, but got buzzed to his boots. So was sat there ringside watching it. Massey's a half decent puncher at cruiserweight, but he's not a puncher at heavyweight. And I think the miles are on the clock. It won't be a complete beatdown like Joe Joyce did to him, but it will be. I think he'll get taken out.
There's a lot of talk about Tyson Fury and him being on the decline, his legs being gone. John Fury is suggesting that he doesn't feel like Sugar is the right fit. His style right now wouldn't beat Usyk. All those things still accounted for, if they are the case, do you still feel Tyson Fury has a strong chance of defeating Usyk, or taking those into account, it means that Usyk is the heavy favourite in the fight?
No, I think Fury's got to be the favourite in the fight. You know, like, I mean, I think Usyk's got fantastic boxing ability, but Fury's just got a way to win. And you can't go in and look at a guy that's 6'5", can punch with either hand, and unorthodox and extremely extremely raw, and he really wasn't up for it against Ngannou. But like, Usyk won't be hurting Fury, so he'll have more confidence to let his shots go, and that old saying, "Styles make fights." I think, you know, it's definitely it's going to be slippery and awkward, but at the same stage, I just think the size is going to prevail. But it might be 7-5 in Fury's favour. But Father Time's always there for everybody, you know. The difference is that AJ turned pro late, and Fury turned pro at like 19-20. So those 12-round training camps from like in your early 20s, that's what actually wastes away muscle tissue, because you're just doing so much volume of training. Plus, I know he doesn't live the life outside the ring. So longevity is never going to be on his side. He's 35, but I think he's got, you know, he shows up, he turns up on the night, and I'm pretty sure, you know, he'll do just enough.
And on your fight, Adam Azim, Starboy next year has a date with Destiny. You know, Paulson, sorry mate. Look, big year set for him next year. Great fight for him. You know, he got to defend his EBU title, mandatory challenger in Enoch Paulson, unbeaten guy. I think, you know, he's built a lot of confidence off that last fight against Petr, knows he can go into championship rounds, and you know, he's just gradually, it's one thing doing it in the gym, but another thing doing it out there on the main stage, you know, with 8-ounce gloves on in underneath the lights. So I'm excited about Adam Azim 2024. I think it's going to be a huge year for him. What a conversation. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.